Attention Walmart shoppers. Before you toss that ground beef into your cart, you might want to take a closer look. Walmart's meat may look cheap and fresh, but there's more going on beneath the surface. A major recall on ground beef has raised concerns, and it's time to understand what you're really buying. Next time you pick up a package, flip it over. You might notice gray meat hiding underneath that bright red top layer. Most people don't spot it until they're home cooking. This color change is due to oxygen exposure. Fresh beef starts off dark red, almost purple. When exposed to air, a chemical reaction turns it that vibrant red we expect. But the gray underneath? That's meat that hasn't had the same exposure or has simply aged longer. And it gets worse. Some companies treat meat with carbon monoxide gas to keep it looking red for weeks. Yes, that means your fresh-looking beef could be far from fresh. While legal, this practice hides the natural signs of aging. Oxidized fat in older meat creates metallic off-flavors and can even lead to digestive issues and inflammation. Temperature changes during shipping speed up this breakdown. Meat gets shuffled through processing plants, warehouses, and stores, each step increasing the risk of spoilage. Every temperature swing, every pause in a warm truck accelerates deterioration. And here's the real problem. Walmart doesn't process their own meat. Their suppliers serve many discount chains, pumping out meat with a focus on speed and cost, not quality. When things go wrong at these massive facilities, the consequences ripple across the country. Even store employees don't know the full history of the meat they're stocking. Long storage times, inconsistent refrigeration, and rushed handling increase the chance of contamination. By the time a problem is discovered, that meat could already be on your plate. So next time you see that perfect red beef in the fridge aisle, look closer. The color might be hiding more than you think. By the time meat finally reaches Walmart shelves, it has often gone through a complicated, untraceable journey filled with blind spots, each one affecting the quality of what ends up on your dinner table. But even when meat arrives in good condition, the way it's marketed creates a whole new set of problems for shoppers trying to make informed choices. Walk through Walmart's meat section, and you'll see labels like natural, no antibiotics, and grass-fed on nearly every package. These terms sound healthy and reassuring, but they often mean far less than you think. Let's start with all natural. It sounds wholesome, but it only means no artificial ingredients were added after processing. Animals can still be raised on artificial feed and antibiotics, yet the meat still qualifies. It's like calling a candy bar healthy just because it doesn't glow in the dark. No added hormones is another deceptive label. Federal law already prohibits hormones in chicken and pork, so advertising this is about as useful as bragging your bicycle doesn't need gasoline. The term grass-fed has major loopholes. Most cattle labeled grass-fed still eat grain in the final months to gain weight quickly. Only 100% grass-fed guarantees the animal ate grass throughout its life. Anything less is like someone claiming to be vegetarian, except for weekend bacon cheeseburgers. Worse still, many natural meat products are injected with saltwater and additives, up to 15% of the product's weight. That means when you buy a 5-pound package of chicken, you might only get 4 pounds of actual meat. These injections make meat appear more tender while quietly boosting profit margins. In short, you're paying steak prices for expensive flavored water. These misleading labels create the illusion of variety, while many products actually come from the same industrial suppliers using identical methods. The only real difference? The marketing spin on the label. Terms like farm-raised are essentially meaningless. Every meat animal is technically raised on some kind of farm, even in massive factory-style operations. What's worse, companies largely regulate themselves when it comes to label claims. Oversight is minimal, and violations rarely come to light unless there's a major investigation. Until then, producers stretch definitions to fit whatever sells. At first glance, Walmart's meat prices seem unbeatable. $3 ground beef feels like a steal compared to $5 elsewhere. But those low sticker prices hide real, long-term costs. Enhanced meats are one of the biggest hidden expenses. Producers inject chicken and pork with water, salt, and flavorings to cut costs, then charge you full meat prices. A 4-pound package might contain nearly half a pound of added solution. You're essentially paying premium prices for salty water. To meet aggressive price targets, suppliers often use lower quality cuts or meat from older animals. While technically safe, this meat is tougher, less flavorful, and lower in essential nutrients than higher grade alternatives. And don't overlook cutting practices and portion sizes. Both impact the actual value of what you're buying far more than the flashy label ever will. Walmart's low meat prices often come with hidden compromises. While packages may appear cost-effective, many contain thinner cuts or smaller portions than those sold at other retailers. A family pack might match the weight of a regular pack elsewhere, but it's split into more, smaller pieces, like cutting a pizza into 24 tiny slices and claiming it's more food. These apparent savings ignore the cost of waste. Lower-grade meat spoils faster and develops off flavors more quickly. Once you factor in what gets tossed, that $3 ground beef could end up costing more per usable pound than higher quality options. Fast, cost-cutting production methods also reduce nutritional value. Animals raised on cheap feed tend to produce meat with higher levels of unhealthy fats and fewer beneficial nutrients. It's like buying a budget car that guzzles fuel. It may be cheap up front, but the long-term costs add up. The pressure to offer the lowest prices impacts every step of the supply chain. Tough, flavorless cuts require extra time, expensive marinades, and longer cooking to make them palatable. That budget roast may only taste good after adding costly ingredients. Discount retailers often prioritize speed over care. Meat may sit out longer during restocking or be stored improperly to reduce refrigeration expenses. These shortcuts can reduce the actual shelf life, even if the expiration date looks fine. When you break down the real cost per usable portion, including water weight, waste, and extra prep, cheap meat frequently ends up costing as much as mid-tier options elsewhere. Bulk packaging, like family-size packs, may seem like a better value, but they often lead to spoilage if you can't use all of it before it goes bad. There's also the issue of misleading freshness. Most Walmart meat arrives pre-cut and frozen and is then thawed before display, yet still carries fresh labels. That's like reheating a slice of leftover pizza and calling it oven fresh. Once thawed, meat deteriorates faster, even though it may look perfectly fine in the case. Employee training focuses on speed, not quality. Staff are taught to stock shelves quickly, often neglecting proper rotation. As a result, older products sometimes end up in front, like cutting the line in a grocery store. While some stores follow strict first-in, first-out policies, others prioritize keeping shelves full, and customers have no way of knowing the difference. Corporate guidelines may exist, but enforcement varies by store and manager. Display case temperatures aren't always accurate. To save on energy, some cases run warmer than ideal or suffer unnoticed fluctuations. This can lead to surface drying, discoloration, or accelerated spoilage, even within the sell-by date. Your future dinner might be slowly spoiling under the lights, looking fine, but hiding a low-grade fever. To avoid losses, stores may keep borderline products on display longer than they should. Throwing away unsold meat costs money, so if it looks okay, it stays on the shelf. During busy periods like sales or holidays, procedures often fall apart as staff rush to meet demand. Rotation is skipped, standards are relaxed, and meat quality suffers. In smaller departments or low-traffic areas, refrigeration systems often receive less attention. Malfunctions can go unnoticed for hours. Meanwhile, staff may face pressure to push older inventory, even when it's nearing the end of its shelf life. Efforts to reduce waste often come at the expense of maintaining quality. While Walmart and other retailers may have corporate standards in place, there's a significant gap between policy and practice. One store might handle meat carefully, while another cuts corners to save time, labor, or costs. But short-term quality concerns are only part of the story. The real danger emerges over time, especially when low-quality processed meat becomes a regular part of your diet. Consuming cheap, heavily processed meat regularly can lead to serious long-term health consequences. These effects don't show up overnight. They build silently over years, making it hard to trace them back to food choices. But the damage is real and expensive. Take sodium, for example. Enhanced meat products often contain 2 to 3 times more sodium than their unprocessed counterparts. This excessive salt intake contributes directly to high blood pressure, increasing the risk of heart disease and stroke. Your cardiovascular system doesn't care how much money you saved, it's just struggling to process the overload. In fact, a single enhanced chicken breast can contain more sodium than 3 bags of potato chips. The World Health Organization classifies processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen, putting it in the same category as tobacco and asbestos. While occasional consumption poses minimal risk, regular intake significantly increases the likelihood of developing cancer, particularly colorectal cancer. Studies show that eating just 50 grams of processed meat per day raises the risk of this cancer by 18%. Beyond cancer risks, meat from poorly fed animals tends to have a worse nutritional profile. It contains more inflammatory omega-6 fats and fewer anti-inflammatory omega-3s. This imbalance fuels chronic inflammation throughout the body, slowly damaging organs and tissues over time. Additives used to extend shelf life and preserve appearance also wreak havoc on your gut health. These chemicals can disrupt the balance of healthy gut bacteria, vital for digestion, nutrient absorption, and immune defense. When your gut is out of sync, you absorb fewer nutrients from all the food you eat, not just the meat. Over time, this creates a dangerous cycle. Poor quality food reduces your body's ability to benefit from healthy foods, leading to even greater deficiencies. Regular consumption of processed meat also contributes to insulin resistance and metabolic dysfunction, increasing the risk of type 2 diabetes. The combination of excess sodium, unhealthy fats, and synthetic additives places constant stress on your body, like forcing it to run a marathon every day just to process dinner. Worse, these chemical changes can interfere with your body's ability to absorb critical nutrients like iron, zinc, and B vitamins, key for energy, immunity, and brain function. When absorption falters, fatigue, illness, and mental fog become more common, without an obvious cause. Children and the elderly are especially vulnerable. Growing bodies need high-quality nutrition for development, and aging immune systems can't cope with the added strain of processed food. Ironically, families trying to save money by choosing cheap meat may unknowingly be compromising the health of the very people they're trying to care for. Because the effects develop slowly, most people don't connect their long-term health issues, like heart disease or diabetes, with the food they ate years earlier. That disconnect makes it easy to overlook how small, daily food choices shape our future health. In the end, the cheap meat bargain becomes very costly. Treating chronic, diet-related conditions such as diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and cancer can cost thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime. The money saved at the grocery store today may ultimately fund years of doctor visits, medications, and medical bills. Population studies consistently show that those who eat more processed meat have higher rates of chronic disease and shorter lifespans. The real cost of cheap meat isn't on the price tag, it's in your future. But making smarter choices doesn't mean doubling your grocery bill. It simply means being informed, understanding what's in your food, and choosing better quality options when possible. Because in the long run, investing in better food is investing in your health, and that's a return worth every penny.